Okay, greetings. This is part two. So I was talking about how we are in an ending now. We are in a cosmological ending and what that really means for us personally. My experience has been that it has meant that I have needed to really change the ways that I was taught. So when I grew up, I was taught that you would get a job and you would work 9 to 5. And, depending on that job, how much money you make, and you would have a family. And all of these systems, our government, our education, religion, the 3 branches of government, the medical system, all of those systems are now collapsing because those systems are a part of our old reality. And what we get to do is wean ourselves off of our reliance upon them. No longer needing to send our children to schools that aren't really teaching us anything that make us valuable for the world that's coming or for the new world that we're in. Using medicines that actually help us understand our bodies and our health and what's going on, no longer having these experiences of dying of cancer and Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff. Like we've been taught that that's just a part of life. It's not. That is a part of the reality that we have been in, and we are moving into another reality. No longer thinking that romance is the pinnacle of life and that your connection or attachment with another is necessary in order for you to have value. Understanding our true experience of our sexual sensual natures and not collapsing it into very basic ownership, sex for pleasure only. Though sex is about pleasure, but understanding the real practice of sex so that we can learn how to use our energy and our power and learn how to share it with others. So that has been a lot in my experience. I have spent the last 20 years healing karma, family patterns, my relationship with my mother, my relationship with my father, my relationship with my body, my understanding of this reality and how it really works, how I'm meant to function, my understanding of myself and how my mind works, how my spirit works, how my soul works, what I'm here for. I have spent years doing this work because I never could fit in. I just always felt out of place. So I had to really go to the drawing board and ask a lot of questions and have courage to discover new things. But that wasn't before I thought of suicide. It's like, I'm going to take my own life. All these things that I thought of before I realized that it was going to be my responsibility. It was going to be my responsibility to discover who I am and to discover how I function. And I could no longer take the advice, conditioning, influence of the external world. Just because we're told that as women we should get married and have children and that's our state of happiness, I realized long ago that wasn't true for me. It was true for some, and then I thought something was wrong with me because it wasn't true for me. But what I realized is that nothing's wrong with me. I'm just different, As women, we are naturally communal. But in this experience of the dark ages, in this Western, we are competitive. And because we're not being true to our individuality, one of the things that I have seen in my experiences with women, the competition and the jealousy is because people aren't fully realized in their own gifts. If you know who you are and what you can do and what you're capable of and how unique and valuable that is, you don't have time to be jealous about somebody else. You don't have time to compete with another. But because we've all been put in this very tiny receptacle of what womanhood is, we have become competitive and fearful and anxious about resources because we think that the resources are external when the resources are really inside of us. And so when we're so externally focused and competing for this, there are only this many men and there are only this many people who get to have success and this is what beauty is. When we're competing from those perspectives and not understanding the true nature of who we are and the vastness that is within us, and the power that comes from us knowing ourselves, and the individuality and the magic that is accessed when you do the work to know yourself, then you don't have time to compete or to care about anybody else's process, because the magic and the gifts that you discover inside of yourself will be so enveloping, so consuming, that to look at someone else would make you feel like you are cheating on yourself. I mean, to look at someone else from the perspective of envy or from the perspective of, scarcity will make you feel so guilty about the fact that you have so much to offer. You have so much to offer, and you have time to look at somebody else and think that you need to compete with them. And I mean, it just becomes ridiculous. It really does. And so as these endings show up, especially right now as the South Node is moving through Libra, many of us, like the ways we make money has to change, the way you relate to the world, understanding your value has to change, who you really are. And many of us will have a tendency to base what has influenced us in the Western world, but that is going away. So I am here to say that you have to find your purpose. You know what I mean? Like, your purpose won't be making money any longer and having a house. Your purpose will be you being yourself. So you've got to discover your purpose and your mission. You've got to wake up to what it really is. You can't base it on these old ideas anymore, because like you hear, I live in Los Angeles, and they're like Hollywood is done. So we can't, those systems are coming undone. The church is coming undone. We're watching our government come undone. Like all of those. So you can't base who you're becoming on those old ways of being. So the process of discovering the new thing inside of you is the journey. And what I experienced was, as soon as I really said yes, everything started conspiring for my good. But I use astrology so that astrology for me is like a cheat sheet so that I wasn't terrified. I would have been terrified otherwise. I probably would have taken myself out of here if I didn't have astrology, because I needed to know that I could take a step and I would be met by the invisible forces of the universe. I felt crazy. I was like, this is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. And then I realized, I do it and I'm met every time. And my spirit guides and my spirit team show up for me in fantastic ways that make me go, oh my God, this shit is real. There is an invisible force working on my behalf, and it's really happening. But I had to condition myself to feel, I had to drain the terror, because I was carrying ancestral terror, ancestral trauma that was keeping me stuck in old ways of being and thoughts that had me afraid to step out of my comfort zone. So I had to train myself into a new way of being. And there has to be consistency. And what I realized is that every turn, there was an opportunity for me to get stuck. At every turn, I could get stuck in, some limited idea, and I had to be really willing to evolve. So I just want to encourage you all to continue to move, and to move from within yourself. The answers are within. And if you need support, I can support you by reading your chart, helping you understand what are the first things. Because of the astrology, I know when was the best time for me to work on trauma. When was the best time for me to heal my relationship stuff? When was the best time for me to begin to access my own authority? And that's what the astrology helps you do, because it's a difficult thing to rebirth yourself. It's difficult. But if you have support with the cosmology, then it makes it easier. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.